Video 44. June 4, 2011. Anthony asks, do you have any information relating to the megaliths at PumaPunka? Who made this structure? How did they machine the hard rocks so perfectly? What was the site's function? How was it destroyed? Anthony, approximately 3,500 years, there existed a settlement related to a race from the Pleiades, for which it was built an entire infrastructure extruded in South America. This whole town was built with rocks cut by streams of energy and taken to the site by spacecrafts using neutralizing gravity. There exists a large infrastructure with temples, running water, and residential areas. This culture was transferred to another colony after 2,000 years. After being abandoned, local cultures and time is tasked to destroy the facilities. Cynthia asks, Mythi, please watch this video. Can you recognize what all these fireball are? Happening from the beginning of May? Cynthia, as I said, the motion of by spacecrafts is very intense in this period. These lights are by spacecrafts that come into your atmosphere with a force field very intensified to avoid suffering from heat. And this causes the bright light emitted. The ships that are already accustomed to the planet enter the atmosphere with more discretion. But who does not know for sure, prefer not to risk it and go with the force fields at maximum power. Gatika asks, I remember telling my parents at age 7 that I didn't belong to their family. I had always been different from the rest of my family members, and also, got a recurrent dream in a house in another era. Do you think I'm living another life other than a previous one? Could those be remembrance of my past life? Gatika, it may be that you have incarnated in this family for the first time. Coming from another place in the universe, the time being in a certain level of frequency for this planet. You may have vague memories of your life was like in that other place where you can have incarnated many times in a row. In this new era, some spirits of the Pleiades and Andromeda will also be embodied here for the first time. And you may incarnate on other planets that are in level 1. There is great flexibility in these procedures. It does not mean that all 10% of humans who will rise to the level 1 of a frequency necessarily have to be reincarnated on Earth. What will be maintained is the demographic rate for planet throughout this new era. Question Chiefy asks, Mythi, about the Oak Island mystery, do you know something about it? Chiefy, this old base was closed for nearly 300 years. When human civilization in the region became unviable, the motion of spaceships Arcturians. The existing well on the island is the former vent of a large base that exists in the bottom of the bay in front of the island. Currently, the base is flooded, its intake gate underwater is sealed and is impossible to penetrate it from the ventilation ducts in the island. Humans have been there many times since your pirates until your explorers, but are unlikely to reach the base by a defensive type of engineering that was adopted in its construction. Phillips asks, why, if we are colonists, put here for a reason by extraterrestrials? Why did you allow us to go through such misery? Why did you allow the elite to do the horrible things they have done, and continue to do? Why haven't you come and made yourself known to the masses, and told them what the elite is doing? Why didn't you come down and stop them from slaughtering so many millions? What kind of experiment is this? You could have stopped them, couldn't you? You have the power. Phillips, a society to prove that it is feasible, it must at least survive alone. Knowing how to choose your leaders is also a way to demonstrate maturity. If you self-destruct, they will be ridding the universe of a society unfeasible, right? You managed to give a lot power to your elites, so that you will just get rid of the shackle, through this planetary change. If we had to intervene by force, you would not have even the 10% ready for this change era on its own merits. I know it's hard to understand, but to win a better place you have to prove you deserve what you have. Bogaret asks, Mythi, how about us people who are working overseas from our home country? Should we leave already for us to prepare in the coming months? And to be with our loved ones? I believe by the time the dwarf star appear in the sky everyone will be in panic. And there will be no more flights by then. What we should do, can you please advise us? Bogaret stays tuned for events. At the end of August, when the media begin to mention something strange about the comet, look back to your relatives. You will have about 2 weeks or until September 10th when the systems will begin to fail. This, if anything different happens then with the route of dwarf star. Michael asks, watching 26th video, this confuses me very much. The symbols are strikingly similar. I'm questioning your credibility. I'd like not to. Is there a way you could look into this matter? How could this company have received the symbols? Why does it look like the exact font? The colonies of Rigel centaurs are from our civilization, we are like cousins. Our writing is very similar to theirs, we have very similar symbols but sometimes with different meanings. These symbols among other documents fell into the hands of your governments when the last accident of them. We have spoken earlier in North America. Currently your government has a lot of literature about various breeds. Gifts from reptilians and their greys. Inter asks, the origin of mass, insofar as my understanding, depends directly on the specific interaction of quantum particles with the Higgs boson field. The all-permeating, quantized particulate which exists at all points in space, which creates drag on existing energy, resulting in what we experience as rest mass. Does the entity or substance which controls our body that we think of as the soul or spirit has an equally quantifiable physical or energetic particle? If not, could you explain plainly and in terms of physics what our soul is? I'll try to explain in a simple way. The soul, or spirit of our third dimension is measurable energy and has mass. Is composed of quantum particles, but is subject to the laws of behavior of matter in the fourth dimension, where the energy is the denser matter. This energy needs of an envelope in order to be in the third dimension. And how energy can occupy the space quantum of a body in the third dimension. The spirit of the third dimension is the densest form of matter that can be accepted into the fourth dimension. The beings who already live in the fourth dimension has a much less energy dense than our soul. Even being there when discarnate, we are much harsher in terms of matter than they are. Ed asks, Mythi, you said that only 10% of the population of the Earth will survive the upcoming events depending on their frequency. How the 10% will be chosen who has the right frequency to stay? How will the 10% know how to survive the upcoming events? How will they know to be on safe places to survive? Will there be survivors on Earth after these events with lower frequency? I don't think that all of the elite in their bunkers has the right frequency. But I don't think either that all of them will die in their bunkers. So, how will this choosing happen? Ed, the elements that are part of 10% will not be chosen, they have earned to be where they are. If they survive or not the events, this really does not matter, they are already with a new level of the right frequency. Those who stay here will receive those who are to return in the new era. They might even be born to parents who are not in the 10% but were surviving remnants. All who are outside the right frequency band of the planet, when disembodied, will be transferred to their rightful places but possibly leave children in the right frequency here on planet. Will be born here the spirits attuned to this new era only. Terry asks, Ascending Star Children planned at Festival of Enlightenment this June? Are there secret plans to gather people for events where children are ascended into motherships or something like this? Terry, no child will be taken into spaceships. The planet is under close observation. No race would have the audacity to try anything against your society in a time like this. Some could perhaps be abducted by members of one of thy strange sects, to provoke some public misinformation. Kadima asks, Mythi, what this latest crop circle means? Kadima, some crop circles are simply art, left as gifts. This crop circle represents a relationship between the Earth at the center, with the Sun on the right. With the Moon below, her face lighted, turned towards the Earth and its gravitational effect of tide and balance. And the dwarf star coming up with its shock waves hitting the Earth on the left. It is a simple abstract framework of the current event in your solar system. Borg asks, what do you know about the Star Child skull? Is it alien or? Borg, this skull may belong to a race of tiny greys of Sirius. They usually move much around here, collecting specimens of vegetables. They have about 90 centimeters tall on average. Few beings of those races have circulated here. So there is 99% chance of being one of them, probably attacked by some animal and taken to a den or cave, away from its crew in some forest. Carlo asks, I would like know when we return to the fourth dimension after we die, are we in a bodily form? Carlo, when you go into the fourth dimension, your spirit is still along the lines of your last eye. While you're there, your original form will prevail, or will you recognize in the mirror as you? And all who know you will recognize you. If you're diseased with your aura, you will appear with the diseased. If you are well and in peace, will find yourself with fine look. There are treatments in the fourth dimension to the sick. Some are a lot of time in hospital until able to incarnate again in the third dimension. The important thing is you always be well with yourself. Angelo asks, Mythi, energy derived from biodigesters, biogas, and its biofertilizer, remains. I understand the 98 or 99% clean to Gaia, and us Earthlings. Is it considered clean energy in your Community Galactica? Will it be the sort of clean energy produced and used by us 10% rightful inheritors in the near future new frequency Gaia's new era? Angelo, all non-residual form of energy, is fully acceptable. The burning of natural gas is a clean way to get energy. There are excellent chemical processes that, with a single generating unit, can supply one of your major cities for many years without cost and without waste to the environment. The water resources are also an excellent option since they are adapted to transmit radiant units, which would reduce the cost of energy to almost zero in distribution. There are many good options. Oil and atomic energy you use enough are the worst possible choices. But all this will be past very soon.